Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, we will be looking at a candle formation named as a Takuri candlestick pattern. This is a formation which is a variant of the doji candlestick. If you are well familiar with the doji formation, you will find it quite easy to understand. The differentiation factor is the shadow on the lower side. The requirement for the lower shadow is that its length should be at least thrice or more than thrice of the length of the candle body. That is the difference between the opening and the closing price, which needs to be nearly the same. So that is additional requirement in this doji formation to be classified as a Takari candlestick pattern. And on the higher side, there should not be any shadow or negligible shadow. Let me add it on the chart so that I can explain to you with the example. Here it is, dragonfly doji with a very long lower shadow. In hourly time frame, here we have this one example, another here. This is looking more promising. This is a bullish reversal pattern. It is more reliable if it is forming after a substantial downward move, and then if we see a Takari candlestick formation taking shape on the chart, this signifies that the bearish momentum might be coming to an end, and there is this fresh buying on these lower levels, which if confirmed further in the subsequent candles, we can indeed go for a long trade. So that is what we are seeing in this case. In this case, there is not enough volatility. I will suggest that we should always consider the relevant candle period and see if it's volatile enough to warrant trading action, because if there is not enough volatility, it is not really desirable to get the entry in that particular trade. So in this case, if we look at the average volatility preceding this candle formation, it was higher, and in this particular case there is not much of an price move. The same criterion applies here also, so it is better overlooked. Then if we consider these other two examples, in this case, this is more of an case of the bullish continuation. Here we have this prior uptrend, and then we see this Takari candlestick formation taking shape, and in a subsequent candle. In this case, there is not much of a move, and we see some correction on the lower side, then movement again on the upper side. Whereas if we consider this particular formation, it is more in line with the volatility, and in the subsequent candle there is this upward momentum. So if we pay attention to the next few candles after the formation of the Takari candlestick, I think we can indeed make our mind whether to go for the trade or to simply overlook it. In this case, the price remained sideways, but in this case, the upward momentum began after this candlestick formation. Same applies in this scenario also. So you will always have to consider these deciding factors while taking a trading decision. Now, let us look at some more examples of this. Here, the volatility is not good enough. Same thing applies here. In this case, the volatility is also less if we look at these long candlestick formation preceding this particular formation. The color of these candle doesn't really matter. The opening and the closing price should be around the same levels, and whatever is the difference, the lower shadow should be thrice of that. This is a formation which is going to take shape on the chart quite frequently, and if you use it on the lower time frame, you will have higher frequency. Now let's consider how many times it formed in today's session itself. Okay, here we have these couple of occasions where the Takuri candlestick formation took shape. This was more in case of continuation, bullish continuation, you can say, as the prior momentum was bullish, and then we saw this formation and again the continuation of the upward momentum. Same thing applies here. Now let us see what we can do in terms of editing. There is nothing really we can do in terms of input customization because this is a single candlestick formation. It is going to take the particular candlestick price values as its input, and if it is within the defined limits, defined criterion, the formation is going to be recognized on the chart. Now let's consider the output. You can go for different color combinations for the output. There is a custom color combination. So you get all these options of color combination and accordingly you can apply it on the chart. The styling can be a bracket you can go for or you can go for full shading of the candle as well. That is also permissible. So you get these two options. But I personally prefer the bracketing. Okay, transparency can be also lowered or increased. Opaqueness can be lowered. Suppose if it is looking too prominent on the chart, you can go for this higher transparency. I will restore it back to opaque. Advanced editing option. Recalculate on new candle only. There is a single candle formation, so this particular option is not going to make much of a difference. Highlight the time period zone. Same thing applies here too. So if you enable it or disable it, it is not going to make much difference. The third option, calculate from the custom data, that has been disabled by the platform itself because we can't really customize the input candlestick. The candlestick is going to be dependent on the price action in that particular hour, and if it is meeting the defined criterion of the Takari candlestick, then only this is going to be recognized on the chart. Now, this last option is really interesting if you want to have multiple indicators available on your chart on different time frames. In that case, it becomes quite relevant. If you want, you can have it on all the candle periods whenever you change the chart scale. But if you want it on particular time frame and not other, you can go for that as well. So here, if we see that only on the hourly and on the 5 minute, this formation will be recognized on the chart. But if I go for some other time frame, there is nothing on the chart recognized as Takari candlestick formation because I have only opted for hourly and 5 minutes as the time frame on which this formation should be recognized on the chart. So that's how this system works. Now I will also like to make you familiar with a one interesting information, a new feature added on the platform. Here we have the hotlist option. View, let me see. Okay, I think it should be somewhere around here. So if you go to the hotlist option, you will have this feature enabled on the platform. Here I'm unable to currently give you a demo, so pardon me for that, but you should try it out and you will have this feature. where the moving stocks, the losers and the gainers for that particular chosen time frame are shortlisted and shown on the feed. So it's a very interesting feature, very important feature when you are chasing high volatility stocks to trade with. So that's all from my side for today's trading session. If you have any query or any idea to share regarding these Takuri candlestick formation, do write to me in the feedback and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you next time around. Till